Macmillan Audio presents The Wonderful World of James Herriot by James Herriot. Narrated for you by Anna Madeley, Nicholas Ralph, and Rosie Page.
Introduction by Jim Wight and Rosie Page. Read by Rosie Page. Our father, James Alfred Wight, practiced as a veterinary surgeon in Yorkshire for almost 50 years. He tended to the animals of his first practice around the clock, and later chronicled his experiences of veterinary practice, writing under the pen name of James Herriot. The love he had for his profession, along with the countryside around him and the people who lived there, fueled his imagination and resulted in 8 books, all of which sold in their millions around the world. Literary success, however, didn't come to Alf Wight until he was in his 50s, as it was only then that he could set aside his evenings for writing. To us, he was simply a devoted father and a busy veterinary surgeon, who spent long days and many nights driving around the hills of Yorkshire, visiting his animal patients. As children, we often joined him on his farm visits, jumping into the car, always with a dog or two in the back, the cold, sweet-scented air of North Yorkshire all around. We didn't come just to watch, though. We were there to help, to open and close gates, or run back and forth to the car to fetch syringes or penicillin, knowing exactly which packets to reach for before we could even read. Dad relished spending time with us, and we loved seeing him at work. So much so that we both ended up as medics with local practices, Jim as a veterinary surgeon working with Dad, and Rosie as a GP in Thirsk. From an early age, we both learned invaluable lessons about animals. Not least that sows can be fearsome creatures, as 13-year-old Jim discovered when he was trapped in a sty, and one came roaring towards him, only to have Dad holler, "You have to get in and out quickly. It's no good being frightened of the bloody things." The odd escaped cow presented a similar risk, proving that animals are nothing if not unpredictable. Mishaps that would later feature in Dad's books. But we loved it all. And for a small child, nothing can match the thrill of holding a newborn lamb, or discovering a litter of kittens in some straw, or puppies in a basket. Just as Dad spent hours driving around the hills of North Yorkshire, so did we. First as passengers in a variety of aged cars, often having to jump out of our Austin A70 so Dad could coax it up the notoriously steep Sutton Bank. And then as teenagers, both of us learning to drive as we bumped along farm tracks, taking Dad on his rounds. Our father first arrived in the North Yorkshire town of Thirsk, fictionalised as Darrowby in his books, in 1940, and he lived and worked in the area for the rest of his life. He never lost his soft Glaswegian accent, however, having spent the previous 23 years in the Scottish city, at its schools, and then at the Glasgow Veterinary College, where he trained. Suddenly immersed in a rural world, he witnessed a community on the cusp of change, when rural vets spent much of their days out and about on small family farms, tending to cows in cobbled byres, birthing sheep in open fields, or chasing piglets around in rickety tin sheds. Those were reared for the Yorkshire delicacy of fatty bacon. Working all hours, he met an array of unforgettable characters, principal of whom was his long-time practice partner, Donald Sinclair, immortalised in the books as Siegfried Farnan. While his job demanded much of his time.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?